When you first enter Barmwich, North Carolina, it seems like any other town. Suburban houses, multiple gas stations and 7-Elevens, a few parks, a couple of schools. However, when you actually stay here for maybe 3 days, 2 days, heck, it can only take 1 day for you to want to get out of here as soon as possible. Now, for us residents, we've been so used to our weird little town that we've just gotten used to it and ignore most of it. I'm sorry, I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Nicholas Jones. You can refer to me as Nick. That's what everyone calls me. I am 10 years old and live with my mom and dad. I have a younger brother named Caden. He is 2 years old and doesn't really pay attention or really care about the weird stuff that goes on in our town. I don't think he even knows our town isn't like any other. Now, I just want to let you know something. When I say our town is weird, I don't mean weird like baby sharks washing up on shore every week or a Sasquatch being spotted in the woods. When I say weird, I mean like a giant pink octopus living in Lake Oyortano behind my house, or that mutant crocodiles come out of the sewers at night to have a rave in Piper Park. Now, you probably don't believe me, which is fine, a lot of people don't. But I assure you, I am telling the truth. Barmwich is a very strange town. Here's an example that happened to me, of all people, only a few days ago. It was like every Monday morning. My 8 a.m. alarm rang throughout the house as I slapped my wood night table to shut off. Caden somehow managed to get past my locked door and jumped on top of me. Oh, God, Caden, get out, I said, rubbing my closed eyes. Caden got off of me, but not my bed. He stood up and began jumping around laughing, ruining my bed covers. Ugh, the point of no return. The point where you realize you're not going back to sleep. I got out of bed and walked downstairs, leaving Caden in my room, a decision I regret now. I'll get to that in a bit. My feet pressed against each step of the wooden stairs as sunlight beamed through the front door. When I made my way to the kitchen, the first thing I noticed was something on the grass in the backyard through the window. When I got closer, I realized it was one of my DC comic books. I don't remember what exact comic it was. All I know is that it was a Batman comic with the Joker on the cover. I rolled my eyes inside at my own stupidity for leaving one of my comics in the backyard. You see, the day before, I was reading a bunch of comics under the tree in my backyard. I guess I dropped one when I was bringing them back into my room, and I went over to the front. I don't know. I went over to the front door and slipped on my light gray Keds. I unlocked the back door and walked outside, shutting the door behind me. The sun was bright, the sky was blue, and the birds were flying around chirping. It was a nice day, for Barmwich at least. However, it was raining all night, so the grass was wet, same as in the comic. Just great. First Caden, now this. I walked into the middle of the backyard and picked up the comic. Like I thought, it was all wet and soggy and had strings of wet grass on the back of it. I groaned on my own stupidity again while wiping grass off of it. Now, getting it on my arm. Just great. Already today is a bad day. No wonder nobody likes Mondays. I finally looked up only to see 2 giant feet facing me. I yelped and fell to the ground, dropping the comic in front of me. I looked up to the sky only to see a giant statue staring at me. It had a plaid red cap on and a thick brown beard. It also had a plain red shirt with what was basically Bane's jacket from The Dark Knight Rises, but with no sleeves. He also had on jeans and very dark blue shoes. I didn't really feel like screaming, mostly because it wasn't scary. I know what you're thinking. You're 10 years old and you're scared of a giant random statue staring at you like a freak. What the hell's wrong with this fake nonsense? This is BS. But let me remind you that this was the morning. The sun was bright and shining. The birds were flying over the statue. Also, I've seen much scary and weird things. Don't even get me started on the purple 3-headed cat that digs through our trash every Wednesday night. Anyway, I stood up and picked up the comic once again. I dropped it on the front side, getting wet grass all over that side as well. That wasn't really a concern at the time, though. I stepped back a little as the statue continued to stare at me. This thing must have been 100 feet. I mean, it was huge. I moved back a foot and back before looking over to slightly see how close or far the door was. Once I turned back, however, the statue was gone. No statue, no footprints where the feet were. Nothing. Like, it was never there. Like, it never existed. That got me freaked out to the point where I ran inside and slammed the door. My mom was in the kitchen, moving a pan along the now turned-on stove, eggs contained inside. She looked at me confused. What happened? You see that eagle with the giant bullfrog on it again? Alright, even I had no idea what she was talking about, and still don't. What? No, that giant creepy statue outside. You didn't see it? Ah, Mom explained as she turned back to the eggs she was preparing. Your first encounter with the ghost statue. Yeah, everyone around town has been seeing it recently. Nobody knows what it is or what it wants or how it disappears without a trace. I just stood there dumbfounded. So now, a giant disappearing statue that stares at you until you look away. Another thing to add to my top 10 weirdest things in Barmwich list. Oh, right, I forgot to tell you about my list. See, every year I get to make a list of the top 10 weirdest things in our town. We have a town party. There's food, games, and a bouncy house. At the end, the mayor reads my list and people vote on what they think is the weirdest. I know, I'm kind of royalty. Anyway, now do you see what I mean when I say Barmwich is weird? Kitten just screamed in annoyance from the living room or right in front of me. Number 7, I check on a piece of paper. That was my little brother's 7th time rebuilding his 4 out of my comic books he stole from me while I was outside hanging out with Mr. Statue. That's why I regret leaving him in my room. He's been trying to do this for almost an hour, and I want to see how many times he'll rebuild it before giving up and giving me my comic books back. My phone's ringing. My friend Fred Mixum, probably going to tell me a third tactic I could use to trick my mother into letting me go to see the movies. You see, me and Fred want to go see a new movie that came out today, The Last Full Measure. Fred got the opening night tickets for us, but in a stereotypical parent fashion, my mother said no. Now, as much as parents say and try to believe it, they know that the "because I said so" excuse is not valid in any way at all. But apparently that's the best my mom could come up with. I can't understand why, though. My grades are all above 90, so she can't use the bad grades excuse. It's Friday night, so she can't use the "it's a school night" excuse. I honestly don't know why I can't go, but she won't let me there, so no point listening to Fred ramble on with a detailed plan he's made. I ignore him and continue writing on the first entry in my blog. I just heard a loud crash and the house just shook. Okay. The paper with Caden's comment for attempts to fell to the ground. Speaking of Cade, he just screamed again as his fort fell again. My parents are running down the stairs right now as we speak, asking what happened. I'll inform you guys what happened in my next post in the meantime. I should just check out what happened and get some coffee.